Someone asked on Reddit, what was the incident at your school? Which story incident surprised you the most? Express your opinion in the comments. Store 1.
I attended a Catholic school, and because of that, we had a school priest who was essentially a kind of friend to the children. It sounds really creepy when you say it like that, but the guy was incredible. He turned a lot of students away from the wrong path, helped tons of kids overcome their struggles, and encouraged every student to reach for their dreams. Anyway, there was one time when he went the extra mile for a very troubled family at our school. The two kids in question were adopted siblings, and both were incredibly unstable. One moment the siblings would be your best friends, and the next, they would suddenly spiral out of control and literally make you fear for your life. Anyway, the school priest, who was aware of their family issues, voluntarily agreed to become the godfather of the two kids so he could legally help them and their family financially. About a year after graduating, the school priest appeared in the local newspapers. He had been arrested and jailed for making physical contact with the older of the two boys. For most people, that was enough to condemn him, but most of the people who went to school with him found the whole thing a bit suspicious. When someone would run into one of the two boys, they would desperately start recounting, step by step, what happened, as if to convince everyone they knew of the truth. The only problem was that these step-by-step accounts were usually very different each time they were told, as if they were poorly thought out. Despite that, the priest went to jail and eventually died of cancer while still incarcerated. However, after his death, it was revealed that such an incident had never occurred. The priest himself had fallen into financial hardship and, as a result, could no longer provide money to the child's family. As punishment, the whole family concocted this terrible false story to teach him a lesson. The man was a complete hero. He even helped my girlfriend's parents get through their divorce in one piece, but life left him sad, forgotten, and alone.
Store 2.
Maybe it's late, but the incident at my school was known simply as Code Brown. There was an AP English class for teenagers, and the teacher was allowing kids to eat in class and sit wherever they wanted. In our school, this was a big thing, and it attracted students with no job looking for college credit. I'm talking seriously about those at the bottom, with fewer brain cells than an autistic goldfish. I had the misfortune of being in this class when I was a junior in high school, and the experience can only be described as traumatic, especially for our teacher, hereafter known as Mrs. J. A few kids in this class, we'll call them A, B, and C, like to eat tons of food every day. In the beginning, it was normal enough. A turkey sandwich here, a bowl of yogurt there. But later on, one day, B brought broccoli that gave off gas and didn't smell good. But that wasn't even the problem. A and C took this nauseating-ass trumpet as a challenge, a call to battle, and took it upon themselves to bring in other flatulent foodstuffs. The goal seemed to be to get the nasty gas out before the bell rang. This went on for a few weeks, and C turned out to be the gas king. But B couldn't ignore it, and A volunteered to help. A skipped to class that day and brought B as many burritos as he could get from Taco Bell. Several bags were full, and B's stomach was apparently bottomless. He ate about 9 burritos in the first hour of class. Frankly, I was a little impressed, until the first whiff of ass gas. There was a low humming deep in his intestines, followed by the low humming sound of a diesel engine. The smell was horrible. The burritos were confiscated, of course, but it was too late. One more blow from the old saw, and I started to feel nauseous. But I still saw that horrible look on B.S. face. They say third time's the charm, and they're right, but they're also very wrong. What came next changed the politics of eating in class forever. The sound of a condition is unmistakable, and it is definitely more pronounced. I knew it when I heard it, but I said nothing, and neither did B. And so did B. He sat there, pale-faced and terrified, trying to focus on the lesson. Finally, Mrs. J sniffed. When asked, B did the only thing that made sense. He ran, and I realized he hadn't wet himself. He had wet himself. The juicy, runny, disgusting stuff followed her from her seat to the door, leaving a river of disappointment on the floor. Classes were canceled, the hallway was quarantined, and the vast majority of students spent the day in the gym waiting for the hallways to be cleared of the swamp water. Later, I heard that he was picked up by a police officer for leaving the school without permission. Apparently, he smeared slime all over the police and the police car. Rumor has it that he resisted arrest. No lunch in class after that.
Story 3.
Staplers. You don't think about your stapler. You use it every day and it's always there when you need it. Until it's not, because a middle schooler stole it. Damn it, you want that stapler back. Staplers aren't cheap, but what can you do? You can't search every kid, so you buy a new one. And you wait, and you watch. Soon, you start hearing conversations about your colleagues' staplers going missing too. You'd think it would be hard for a student to hide a stapler, especially since backpacks are supposed to stay in lockers all day. But somehow they manage. You start keeping a closer eye on things. One teacher lost 2 staplers right under her nose. After that, she filled a filing cabinet with new staplers. You think you can narrow it down? Maybe they're disappearing at certain times of the day or only from the desks of teachers who teach a specific class. But no, they're everywhere. You thought it must be an 8th grader, someone you thought was too good to be true until a stapler from a 7th grade classroom went missing, and then one from a 6th grade class. It's not a big school. Everyone knows everyone. How could they sneak into the wrong classroom without being noticed? The assistant principal is fed up. One day, he casually walks around the lunchroom carrying a stapler, checking to see if anyone's going to crack. But he knows who it is, deep down. He knows in his heart, there's nothing he can do. He'll never be able to achieve the glory of proof and punishment. After about 40 staplers, the school year wraps up. Honestly, it's pretty uneventful. 3 months later, a new school year begins. And your stapler stays at your desk, always there when you need it. But the sweet satisfaction you used to get every time it pierced flyers and homework sheets is gone. You find yourself faced with a strange nostalgia for the days gone by, where your heart would skip a little whenever you glanced at your desk.
Story 4.
A 2nd grade student put a sealed container of chicken noodle soup in an empty locker next to the chemistry room. It sat there for months, easily 5 or 6 months, until someone finally thought about it again. It was brought up in chemistry class, and our chemistry teacher planned to go to the locker with tongs and get rid of it once and for all. His hands were shaking a lot that day, and as soon as he pulled it out of the locker, it dropped, and all the filth that had turned into chicken noodle soup spilled out. He immediately ran back to his room, yelling, "Oh my God! Close the doors! Close the doors!" And the laughter began. The smell was indescribable. Raw sewage, rotting chicken, and fermented noodles all mixed together. I have never smelled anything even remotely close to it again, and I probably never will. The stench spread throughout the entire floor and even seeped down to the classrooms right below, through the stairwell next to the mess. On the day of the disaster, everyone gagged while wandering the halls. Fortunately, this happened during the 8th period, right before everyone was about to go home. A hazardous materials team was called to deal with the mess in case of any possibility of sickness in the air. For the rest of the school year, teachers burned candles in the hallways and their classrooms, but the smell never left us. It lingered all summer long and even into the next school year before finally fading away completely. The chemistry teacher who dropped the soup is now actually my stepdad, and we tell this story at least once a year, laughing all the while. It's one of my fondest memories from high school.
Story 5.
This was an ongoing thing. I guess you could say a series of events, but things went south the year after graduation. One of the teachers, Teacher A, was found to have an ongoing relationship with an 18-year-old student. It wasn't all that crazy. I mean, like it, but you always hear about stuff like this. The crazy part was what they uncovered while investigating Teacher A. Another teacher, Teacher B, was found to be having relationships with students, multiple students, exactly 16 students. Throughout his entire career, apparently picking a new girl each year or more frequently, grooming her, and having a relationship with her until she graduated and he moved on to someone else. He was reportedly living with one of them in his basement, and they were going on vacations together. When the news about him broke, everyone went crazy. While investigating Teacher B, they also found a third teacher named Teacher C. Teacher C was a substitute who was engaging in relationships with underage girls in exchange for raising their grades. All three were later arrested and sentenced to prison. The grand jury investigation found that the members of the school board, including the principal and vice principal, knew about Teacher B's ongoing behavior because there had been numerous reports over the years. But there was a culture of, we need to protect each other and the school's reputation, and nothing was done about it. The school board chairman resigned, but now, for some reason, has been returned to the school board, and the cycle will continue.
Story 6.
In high school, we had many interesting classes, but one in particular stood out in my memory: the outdoor exploration class, which featured a giant rope course. The teacher for this class was an energetic and friendly middle-aged man. He always communicated well with the students and made sure the lessons were both fun and educational. However, one day, an unexpected event happened. His decision to take a shower in the locker room between classes marked the beginning of everything. He suffered a stroke at that moment. It's hard to know how these things develop, but in high school, it's really strange for a teacher to be left in such a situation completely naked, as if on the day he was born. What's worth considering is that the teacher running around naked, wearing only his socks and gym shoes, in front of the classroom windows made things even more absurd. Just then, a substitute teacher outside went out to see what was happening, complicating everything further. The teacher started to play a game of tag while trying to make sense of the situation. He was running around, trying to assess this bizarre situation until the ambulance arrived. That day was quite strange for everyone at school. However, within a few weeks, the teacher returned to work. Continuing his education, he was swinging the kids on ropes and climbing trees, as usual, hopping over logs. The students continued to share the stories of that day with laughter. After that day, the teacher's classes became even more exciting, and we spent days talking about the memory of that strange day. Besides the fun lessons, this incident showed us the unexpected sides of life and made me realize how special the exploration class was for us.
If you have a story you would like to share, please share it with us in the comments. Also, subscribe to my channel for more Reddit stories like this. And don't forget to turn on notifications. Take care, friends.